There's a lot more to mining than just mining, and we'll touch on all of that in today's video, so stick around. Warning, there are people pretending to be me in the comments and on social platforms. I'll never ask you to add me on WhatsApp or Telegram, and I'll never ask you to send me money, crypto, or your personal information. Alright? So please be careful, use your common sense, and don't let any of these imposters fool you. Alright? Now back to the video. Hey, how's it going, GPU heads? Thanks for clicking on my video. Seb Heslo here, and in this video I sit down to discuss with the hobbyist miner about every way that mining affects your life. Now, we touch on everything from heat to noise, as well as managing your time and doing research and all of that. And our hopes is that us sharing our experience in this will make you guys better miners. So that and a lot more in this video coming up. But first, a word from our sponsor, Wadom. If you want to get into proper Bitcoin mining, then Wadom has you covered. From the latest ASIC miners, mobile mining containers and power transformers, to complete hosting services and even full facility buildouts. Wadom is the largest distributor of Bitcoin mining equipment in the United States, with a team of over 100 mining experts ready to help you out. So check them out through wadom.io/Seb or in the link in the video description. All right, here I am back with my good friend, the hobbyist miner, and today we're going to be talking about how mining affects your life. So, hobbyist miner, why don't you kick it off this time? What do you got?
What do you mean? Mining doesn't affect my life in any way. I don't know what you're talking about. Video over. We're done. We're good to go.
It's all just set it and forget it, isn't it?
That's exactly how mining rig works. Listen, all my rigs have been up for years. I just set them up. I don't have to touch them. They never fail. No, great. This is a great subject. And Seb and I have been talking about this subject for a while now. We've been eager to bring this to you guys because everybody's going to be a little different. You know, everybody's situation is a little different. Their lifestyle is different. Their farms are different. Their setups are different. But I think we all go through the same day-to-day types of things, how mining really affects our day-to-day. I mean, it is live it and breathe it. So for me, a great example is like, this wasn't even in the notes. We're just jumping right down the avenue. I was on vacation for 4 days. What do you do with your mining rig farm when you're away for 4 days with your family? I actually ended up, my phone blew up and I got a bunch of messages that the rigs are offline. I check, one of my rigs is all 90 degrees Celsius, all my GPUs. I then have a neighbor go in and check. My mining room is 140 degrees Fahrenheit. I blew a breaker. My exhaust and my intake went out. And my mining rig's overheated because in that room, all of a sudden my airflow is out. So like, this is like, holy cow, day to day as a miner, this is the stuff you worry about, especially as a home miner. It's crazy, but it's just one example of just, it's not like I got a full-time guy hanging out in my mining farm watching it. But yeah, so life as a miner, you live it and you breathe it. It is not just like a set it, forget it.
Of course, that's on the one day you're away on vacation that happens too, isn't it?
Yep. I literally work and sit 6 feet away. Never happens. The one time I'm hours away, it happens, Yeah. That's how it works.
So yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you that like, if you're gonna build a farm like that, make sure you can pretty much remote control every aspect of your farm, which is why like I was super into Windows mining because during the pandemic I was just home all the time, so if there was ever a problem, I could just go down and check on my rig. But now that like society is opening back up again, I might go out for dinner or be away for a day or two, like just to have that option of at least seeing what temps your GPUs are, being able to remote reboot a rig using something like HiveOS makes such a difference. And I've actually also invested in like remote control. What do you call them? We call them extension leads here, but I think you call them power strips or something like that, don't you?
Well, power strips is like you never want to use with mining. I think you're thinking more of PDUs.
Yeah, okay. Well, that is the thing because we are natively on 240 over here. So for us,
we're not.
it is just power strips then, because they're usually rated for like 3,600 watts. So we're good over here. Yeah, but for you guys,
we're like 1,500 max. Like,
yeah,
absolutely max. But no, that's smart. I mean, it's all about managing your rigs. I think you make a really good point where time is money. And it's like, okay, when your rigs aren't up and running. So as a miner, when you become a crypto miner, your mindset is like time is money. So like, I need my rigs to be up all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that's not usually the case. I mean, as you start to expand your farm, you know, you have rigs that need maintenance. You have rigs that are crashing. I was just dealing with 2 yesterday. All of a sudden, I'm like, why do I have 2 rigs that just keep crashing? Well, that takes up so much time to correct those. And just your goal is to keep things up and running as stable as possible. And it's I want to say it's a full-time job, but it is a huge time sink as a miner.
Yeah. And speaking of time sinks, I guess something that I didn't like really realize going into it was all the time you spend actually like kind of doing research and learning. Now, this is great if you are like a lifelong learner and you love learning about new things, which I also recommend to have that mindset in general in life, because you don't want to just stop once you hit 18. You know, you want to keep learning all throughout your life.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things you have to learn about as a miner that you probably didn't think of. And I'm not talking about the regular stuff like how to overclock a graphics card or, you know, anything like that. It's stuff like, how do you manage heat in an enclosed space effectively, and things like that. Like, those are things you have to learn. And I'm getting to that point now where like,
yeah,
I feel like I've said this previously, but
yeah, you
haven't
have
learned anything yet. But I'm like, it is so freaking hot in my house. And like
76 right here in the seat right now. Nice and comfortable. I like it.
Yeah, see, because you've done your homework. Well, you've applied what you've learned, whereas I'll open another window.
Yeah, that's a huge one. As a home miner, heat management, everybody overlooks this, and nothing will prepare you for it. And in addition to that, what works for me might not work for Seb. What works for someone else might not work for someone else. And just strategically, like if you're in Arizona, desert environment versus East Coast Pennsylvania, the atmosphere is totally different on your heat, on your humidity. And so it is a learning process, just like Seb said, where, you know, I'll be honest with you, I spent thousands of dollars trying to nail down my heat because I really didn't take enough time to learn. So I tried different grow tents and different setups and stuff like that, and thought I knew it all. Like when I built my mining room, I was like, all right, I'm going to use 6-inch inline fans. Did a bunch of them. Those things suck. And I made such a huge mistake of spending the money, putting the time and effort into it. And then I ended up having to upgrade to 8-inch. So like heat management is, as a home miner, which we're speaking mostly to our audiences, where we don't have a dedicated building, heat management is one of the 2 biggest nightmares as a crypto miner.
Yep. And hand in hand with that, the second one is, of course, noise. Like miners can get pretty loud. Like if you're just building these regular frame GPU builds and you've got no GPUs with GDDR6X memory, so 3070s or below, then you're okay. Like your GPUs aren't gonna get super hot to the point where you need like server case fans for them. But anything above that, you need to like blast those GPUs with air. If that is in like an Octominer like these, which I personally love because they're so like convenient to use, and there you go. Not sponsored, by the way, but I just, like, they're so good. I gladly talk about them. But yeah, the noise, like that is another issue that can also creep up on you. Like we both started out with just a few GPUs, nothing too big, you know, in the basement, right? And then all of a sudden you have 50 of them, and to manage all of that heat, you just gotta, like, as I said, blast them with high-powered like server case fans. And now your wife says the house is too loud and she doesn't want to live in there anymore.
Never. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's you're absolutely right. Those of you guys curious as you're growing your farm, airflow is everything. Airflow is key. You can't just slap an air conditioner in a room of 50 GPUs and be like, hey, we're good. It's not how it works.
No.
So Seb is absolutely right. The noise that's created, and it's crazy. A lot of that noise isn't the straight up GPUs. A lot of that noise is the fans to cool the GPUs. Or in my case, I do a lot of my rigs like 50-50 open air. So like ATX and then a server power supply. Well, the server power supply gives you more watts for a cheaper price, but it's louder. So not only do you have cooling fans, now you have server power supplies that make noise. And then if you're talking about like the rig behind Seb there, the Octo Miner, and some of the ones I have, those server fans are so loud, but they're so effective. So you're now trading off, cooling with noise in addition to that. And then if you have additional cooling fans like inline fans or exhaust fans. So yeah, noise is one of them. I made the mistake of putting a mining room in my basement. I regret it entirely. I don't recommend it to anybody, not only because of the heat, but the noise. When you're above me, now I'm in a basement, so when your living room up above, you can hear it, and the floor vibrates a little bit because I mounted some inline fans to it. So like it's definitely a struggle without a doubt.
I feel like every miner goes through the same journey of like starting with just building one rig, putting it somewhere, and then you grow into a few rigs and you're having to spread them out all throughout your house. And then you get to the point where you can't manage that. So then you try to set up some sort of grow tent setup or something like that to manage the heat. But then you get to the point where noise maybe becomes the next issue you got to deal with. So then you then usually I guess people maybe dedicate a whole room to it, like you have. And then it gets to the point where not even that is enough anymore. And eventually what everyone ends up doing is getting a shed.
I cannot wait, Seb. I cannot wait.
Same here.
Heat.
Same here.
I mean, I am doing all my server cases in my shed because they're the loudest, and they're going to be the most adaptable to higher ambient temperatures. And then in my mining room, I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to cut down on my exhaust and intake, the airflow. I can turn it down. And I'm just going to do my open rigs in here. They're quieter. They don't need as much, and it'll work out well. So yeah, noise is a nightmare. But yeah, outside of that, as an everyday miner, some of the things that people overlook of just kind of the things that you deal with as a miner and how much time sink are things like, actually building new rigs, getting them up and running, or troubleshooting when you have problems. Or better yet, my biggest one, which I want to turn into something more enjoyable, is cleaning your GPUs. Those things get so dirty, so dusty. The maintenance that's required, it's a lot. As you grow your farm, it doesn't get any easier. There's no like magic way to like make it happen. It is a lot of work and a lot of time.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like the rigs themselves, it's a time sink in all of those categories you just said. First building them, fixing whatever issues. First of all, troubleshooting when there's an issue to figure out what the issue is, and then also fixing that issue. But also on the software side, obviously setting them up once you first get them built. But then there will be a lot of things, probably even more coming up, like figuring out new coins to mine, how to like tweaking your overclocks for those coins. And also that is not even mentioning the fact of like you're kind of having to do a lot of research in that regard as well. And I think that there's going to be more of that coming up after the Ethereum merge. You keeping on top of like what are coin profitabilities day to day, what ways are there to mine, like we figured out things like mining Ethereum, getting paid in Bitcoin through two miners, for example, right? There might be loads more services like that coming up once Ethereum is no longer an issue, because I can see a lot of miners wanting to mine certain coins but being paid in something a bit more established, like your Bitcoins or whatever. So just keeping on top of
I'm curious on that. You made a really good point. I hate to interrupt you, but you talked right about it. I'm curious, great point, by the way. Can you take Ethereum Classic and convert it to Bitcoin on two miner setup right now? No? Oh, bummer, because that would be a huge win in the next few months, just as an option.
85% sure that's the case, because I did look into it, and I think no. I think it's just straight Ethereum for now, because I believe when they did it, the point for it was that the Ethereum transaction fees were so high, so they wanted a way for smaller miners to still get a payout. But I mean, they would be stupid to not implement that service on all the
Please do it sooner than later.
Please do. If you're listening to this, which I doubt they are, but hey, maybe.
They absolutely are.
Actually, they for sure subscribe to me.
See, knew it. I knew it. No, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of that time that comes into it. You talked about like tweaking. So like right now it's pretty easy because you kind of know where your cards are at right now. But good example, I did a video this past week or 2 weeks ago, I guess when this airs, talking about Hero on my 6600s. There's little information out there on the 6600s and mining on like ProcVal. Now there's a few out there, Seb's on Sun, Red Fox Crypto's on Sun, but I even talked to Seb about it. I struggled with Micron memory because it was totally different than Hynix. Like Hynix, I could set my settings, I was done, it was good. Micron, significantly different, and it was one setting that I really need to figure out. Now that's just my little situation now. Imagine that on a larger scale. Post Ethereum merge, you're talking about this on multitude of different graphics cards, on different algorithms. It's a lot of work. It's definitely a lot of work. And it is not, the mentality of set it, forget it is absolutely not the case.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's a good sort of note to end on, which is like, don't view mining as I'll just get some cards up and running and they'll just stand there and make me money for the rest of my life. It is an active hobby, but it's also very much fun. And enjoy that journey, enjoy the learning of it, enjoy the tweaking, the getting new gear, the upgrading your setup from the one rig to the grow tent to the dedicated room to the shed. You know, enjoy that journey, and maybe also go into it with a little bit of a plan as well.
Yeah, mining really comes down to two things. It either comes down to, as you said, it is either a hobby for you, and if it's a hobby, now's a really fun time to be a miner. It's crazy. But if it is not a hobby and it is a career, it is your job, it is your cash flow, it is what pays your bills, now's a very stressful time for you, and it's rough. It's got to be definitely rough for you. But as a hobbyist, like you and I are right now, it is a blast. Things are changing. The learning is higher than it's ever been. And keeping yourself open-minded. But
also adding to that, like if it is your job or your career, then also treat it as such and put in the hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's where people come up short. They just expect it to be handed to them. I expect to be able to make this much, and then things change quickly. And you really got to educate yourself. And I think that's a big part of being a miner, is just continuing learning, like Seb said, and continuing to educate yourself.
Now, if you found this video helpful, then please give it one of these. And if you really liked it, you can now join the channel to help support what I do here. It really does make a big difference and it means a lot to me, so thank you. But what you gotta do now is you gotta click on that next video on the screen. Because this video is over, you can also click the picture of my face to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, go click on that next video and I'll see you there. Goodbye. Goodbye, bye bye.